Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sprint TV. Hopefully everybody is staying safe from the hurricane. I can't get myself comfortable here. It's a little windy here in North Carolina, and I'm sure it's quite a bit rainier for a lot of you guys south of here. So hopefully everybody's staying safe. While I'm thinking about it, please close the live chat, click like and subscribe so you get updates about each one of our live streams. We do this every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern to try and make your life easier online. We always try to present you guys with free tools and solutions for the problems that we discuss. There are some paid options for the stuff that we're going to talk about today, from the tools that we're going to talk about today, but everything that I'm going to be doing here will be using free software. Also, this will hopefully be the last week that I'm sitting in what amounts to a storage room. Our new studio is almost done. So very exciting stuff. We'll all feel quite a bit better when that gets taken care of. What I want to talk about today is a challenge for a lot of people. It can be very confusing, it can be unbelievably frustrating, and I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible, and that's photo editing. Online stores, social media posts, websites, basically everything requires you to be kind of a photo editing master, and there haven't really been a whole lot of great tools out there to make it simple. So hopefully with a little bit of background that I'm going to give today and a couple of cool tools and resources, you guys will be photo editing masters, and this will no longer be a giant pain in your neck. So first, I'm going to tell you the tool that I would suggest. I'm a long-time die-hard Photoshop user, and I would not suggest using Photoshop unless you already do. Excuse me. I would suggest using Canva. It's a relatively new tool. It is web-based, much like the Run Free platform. Canva.com, you sign up and it is free. They have a pro version that gives you some additional options, but I can't say enough really good things about this tool. It is so easy to use. It makes some of the more complex photo editing actions in Photoshop feel completely simple. You can go in there and play around with this thing and master it without any classes or memorization or anything. It's very, very intuitive. You'll see. So go canva.com, sign up for an account as soon as you can. Like I said, it is free. They do have a pro plan that is $12.99 a month that you're welcome to use, but you can use it as free. The next thing that I want to give you before we jump into how to do all this stuff is a couple of resources for photos, good pictures. One of the things that people have a lot of difficulty with, especially in our space, is finding good pictures online, and more specifically finding large, beautifully resolutioned pictures online. So the pages that you see here listed in front of you, unsplash.com, Pexels, Pixabay, they're all really great. They all have stock photos that are free to use. You're not going to get in trouble with anybody for using them, and they're all extremely high resolution, so they're going to look good on any display, and they're not going to look grainy or pixelated, and we'll talk a little bit more about how to avoid that in a bit. Canva also has a number of stock photos built into its tool as well that you're free to use. One thing I will say is that as run specialty retailers, the running specific stuff is a little light on these free websites, and so if you do feel like you've got to go to a place where maybe I need some better photos, my suggestion would be Adobe Stock. They have a ton of really great images, and they are the least expensive pay stock photography site that I've come across. Put something down in the comments of the live chat if you found something less expensive that you love. But it is $29.99 a month. You get access to download 10 assets, so choose carefully. But they are downloaded in full resolution, so you're looking at somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 pixels in width, so they'll work for anything that you'd like to use. I do want to jump over to Google real quick and talk about Google Images. So we have all done this, and we do this quite a bit, is we jump over to Google Images and we search for running. And it gives me a whole bunch of different results here. And let's say I choose this guy here. If I hover over this image, you'll see right here where the little finger is pointing at 1155 by 648. That is the resolution of that picture. If I right click and save that, I'm going to get a picture that is 1155 pixels wide. The problem with Google Images is A, you don't know if the image is actually available for you to repurpose. That's the most important one. And B, you don't know the size of the images that you're going to get. If you do find yourself at Google Images, which I would suggest as a last resort, click Tools, choose Size, and go Large. There's really no purpose for small images in anything that you're going to be doing with social media, websites, or e-commerce. So now you've got a little bit better chance of getting a bigger picture. But it is important, hover over, look at the resolution, and anything less than 2000 pixels wide, which is the first number, is going to be probably a little shady, and it might look bad on your display. So choose very, very carefully if you're using Google Images. Make sure to choose images with a width of 2000 or wider, depending on your circumstances. Anything less than 1000 is going to look pixelated, just a heads up. So before we jump over to Canva and do some actual photo editing, I do want to talk about some sort of image editing basics to keep in mind as you peruse. And hopefully, if you haven't learned about this stuff, this gives you some insight into problems that you might have had in the past. So first things first, I just talked about resolution and I didn't define it for anybody, so I would like to do that now. Essentially, resolution, you can think of it as a measurement, just like a photograph. Instead of 4 inches by 6 inches, it is 2500 pixels by 1500 pixels. The first number is always the width, excuse me, the second number is always the height, and px means pixels, which is essentially dots on a screen. So when you think about what is a pixel, your screen is made up of a bunch of tiny little, probably LEDs at this point in time. Most of you have LEDs, if not LCD, diodes, and each one is a pixel. And so there are, on a high definition display, there are 1,920 of them on each row, and there are 1,080 rows, which gives you the resolution of that screen. So an HD screen is 1920 by 1080 pixels. A 4K screen is 3840 by 2160. Most people browse the web and use apps and shop online from their mobile device. The iPhone 14 Pro is 1179 by 2556 pixels. And I listed this resolution the way that the phone is actually shown on this screen. So it is 1179 pixels across the top and 2556 pixels down. So if you turn it on inside, you get the picture. Tablets, the new iPad Pro is 1668 across by 2388 down. The reason that I'm pointing this out is A, to give you some context for what resolution is and how it's applied in everyday life, but B, to give you an idea of the screens that the people who are going to be looking at whatever image you create will be using. And so the common denominator between these screens is roughly 3,000 pixels long, meaning that ideally whatever picture you choose to use should be at least 3,000 pixels in resolution in one direction or the other. We'll talk a bit more about that in a second. It'll make more sense when we're playing around in Canva, but this is a good reference point to have when you think about, what image is going to look good on the devices that that my customers are going to be using. It's these sizes, and it doesn't have to be exact. If you find a really great image that you really want to use, and it's 100 pixels by 67 pixels, and you stretch it to make it bigger or enlarge it, it's going to look like the picture on the right hand side. When you enlarge an image on a computer, the computer has to fill in the blanks and that appear as the image grows, and what that ends up looking like is blurry, pixelated, and crappy. Whereby if I were to use an image that has the resolution that is equal to the size that I really need, like the one on the left, it's going to be nice and crisp and clear. So trying to enlarge smaller images is a very dangerous game, and I would suggest against it. Same thing when it comes to changing the shape of an image or the aspect ratio. So an image as it begins, like the image on the left hand side, should, when you resize it, if you're just making a change to the full image itself, should retain the same aspect ratio. That way it stays, the ratio between the width and the height is the same. If you were to smash it down to be square without actually resizing the image so that that ratio is the same, you would end up with what you see on the right hand side, and that is smashed, stretched mess. So aspect ratio is incredibly important as well. Be sure to maintain it. With those basics, let's jump back over to our browser. Hopefully you guys can see my screen here, to Canva. So I'm here at canva.com. I've logged into my free account and I'm presented with this page. And I really can't say enough good things about this tool. It is so cool, the stuff that you can do here so easily. So you can choose between all kinds of different assets. Social media, if you choose the Instagram post, it's going to give you an exact size image that's maximized for use on Instagram. Same with Facebook, Instagram stories. I mean, there's WhatsApp status. There's all kinds of cool templates here. So it really does a lot of the whole trying to figure out what size something is supposed to be work for you when it comes to social media. Now, when you're thinking about your website or your e-commerce store, on the Run Free project, we have given you suggestions throughout the admin side of the platform on sizes of images that work best in different situations. So you'll see on the homepage builder, excuse me, you'll see on the homepage builder that our image slider option has, I'll just go ahead and show you since I've got a computer in front of me where I could do that. Our image slider option, if I go to layout and then homepage, you can see here that over on the right hand side it gives me a suggestion. Rectangular images, 1800 pixels by 700 pixels. So this tells me if I'm going to get a really great presentation, then I need something that size. So let's start with that. I'm going to go up here to custom size, click on it, and if I hadn't already done this in a dry run, this would be blank, and you type in 1800 width by 700 height and click create new design. It's going to pop up a new page. It's going to try and give me a tour of the tool, and what you'll see here on the right hand side is a white square that's basically like your canvas. This white square, for all intents and purposes, is 1800 pixels wide by 700 pixels tall. Now, one of the cool things about Canva is that it helps with a lot of the aspect ratio and resizing stuff much better than a lot of the older tools did. So let's build ourselves an image slider, and we'll talk through how it does that and what you should be mindful of as we go through. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose uploads. So I've already uploaded this image. This is a random little boy with soap bubbles. I downloaded this from unsplash.com. All the stuff that I'm talking about today, from Canva to the different stock image websites to this image that we're editing in this tutorial. All is linked below in the description if you'd like to follow along. When I downloaded this image, Unsplash told me that it was just over 6,000 pixels wide. Now Canva, in order to present me with the full image, has shrunken that down to fit within my artboard. But because this image actually has 6,000 pixels of resolution across of information in it, and I only need 1,800 pixels across in resolution for my slider, I can take this corner and drag it and make this picture bigger without losing any quality in the picture. And unlike old tools, I hate to say it that way, unlike professional tools or tools from the past, this whole artboard / canvas concept is going to keep the image resolution steady for you. So I know that now if I saved this, I would have an 1,800 pixel by 700 pixel image with this little boy's face centered right inside the image. They made it super duper easy instead of having to crop in the classic way. Now, had I downloaded an image that was only 100 pixels wide to begin with, Canva would have let me do exactly what I just did with this image of this little boy. It would just look really, really pixelated and blurry when I tried to save it. So remember, resolution is important. Always use a picture with a higher resolution than the product that you ultimately need to create. So I've uploaded my image. I've moved it to where I want it to be. There's a bunch of different things that you can do here. You can go in here and edit the image, apply filters if you would like to. There's a bunch of them. This is my favorite. There's these smart mock-ups, and to do something like this in Photoshop would take 20 minutes worth of applying filters and masks. But here I can just click, and it uses state-of-the-art, super cool AI to put my image right on this phone that this guy is holding, which is just unbelievably cool and powerful. So now I've got my little dude looking at the soap bubble on somebody's phone for my slider. You can also do fine adjustment. So over here on the left hand side where I'm spinning my mouse around, I can adjust the brightness up and down, and I can always revert my image by accident like that. If I click on See All with these adjustments, every time I make an adjustment, once I get to a place where I've adjusted my image perfectly, and let's say I've made changes to every single one of these settings, if I want to apply those same settings to other images, Canva makes it really easy. I can just go in here and hit Control A or Command A on Macs, Control C or Command C on Mac, and now I've copied this filter code, and I can paste this filter code into this area on another image, and it'll automatically apply those settings. Thought that was pretty dope. So anyway, we've got our dude here looking at the soap bubble, and I'm happy with this image, right? So this is a tutorial. It doesn't really have any meaning. I have the option to add elements, which can be GIFs, they can be kind of clip art style items, and you can do whatever you'd like to with them, and it's going to add it in on top, almost like a layered situation. And there's a ton of different ones that you can choose from. Like I said, Canva is a really awesome tool. Obviously, if you're making a slider for your e-commerce page, you want to add some text. You want a call to action for whoever it is that lands on that page. And so if I click text over here on the left-hand side, I can add text directly using the heading, subheading, and body. And then I can change the font and customize it, like you're used to doing with Microsoft Word or something like that. Or I can choose some of these Canva pre-installed super cool text effects and just drag and drop. And I love this. This makes it so much easier to do cool stuff. So now I've got this very cool text here. I can just double click on it, and now I can put in my own text. So let's see. We sell soap. And now I've got myself a really cool call to action that's like nice and pretty and professional looking, and it took me all of about 3 seconds. if I want this to be a different color, or if I want to adjust the, the characteristics of this text, I can click Effects and make those changes here. So if I wanted to change the color of the shadow, I can go do this little orange color here, close my effects, and now I've got customized text on top of my cool custom image, and it's ready to go in the format that I need it to be in. Obviously, I haven't covered everything that you can do with Canva, but it really is this simple to edit images in Canva using the free version. So once I've got what I want, which we'll assume this is what it is, I can go to File, excuse me, I can click Download. It's going to suggest a file type. PNG is fine. It's going to tell me the size. Remember, we chose 1800 by 700, and I get to download. So it'll take just a second for me to download, and while that's happening, I can jump over here to my Run Free project platform. So if I go and click Admin, remember I logged in already, I choose Layout, I go to Home Page. I have these banner slides here. Let's say I wanted to add that image that we just edited to this banner slide. I click Add More, I click Select an Image, and I find my image, and now I have the We Sell Soap banner. I'm not going to make it go to any particular link. I can say Get Clean, save my settings, and then of course it goes slow because whenever you're doing a live stream, everything can't possibly work properly. That's the rule of the road when it comes to software and demonstrations. And now I have my banner. Super easy to do. Hopefully this was helpful, guys. It can be overwhelming when you think about everything that there is to remember when it comes to editing images. Canva really helps knock a lot of that stuff off the radar. The most important stuff is use high resolution images. Remember the resolution that's required by the application that you're using. So in this case, you know, if you look, it's 1800 by 700, and it fit perfectly into this frame. That reminds me, one extra note that I'd like to throw in there is that you know, if you were to create a custom website, you would actually go and create 3 different versions of that website. You would have a desktop version, which would be for browsers, for PCs and laptops, that kind of thing. You'd have a tablet version, which would be designed specifically to be shown on the screen of an iPad, and then you'd have a mobile version. And whenever your customer goes to your website, whatever device they're using, the browser on that device is going to say, "Dear intergalacticrunning.com, give me the mobile version of your website." And so it automatically pops up the mobile version. And as a web designer, you would have to create those 3 separate websites together in order for it to work seamlessly on any device. We've done that automatically for you with your Run Free store and the website that you build on the Run Free platform. It's automatically going to adjust for mobile web pages or mobile displays of all various types and so on. And when it does that, and when browsers do that, generally speaking, sometimes they'll move images around inside of boxes like this. And so what I'd like you to keep in mind is when you put text or objects in images, leave a nice solid margin around the edges of blank space, so that if the browser needs to resize or move your image around inside the box to make the website appear, it's not going to cut off some of your text. If you're in Canva and you're writing text up here in the very corner of this image, and you upload it to your Run Free store, you might see that text on your own desktop. But if you went to a mobile phone, or if a coworker opened it up on a laptop with a smaller screen, it might, when it was rendering the page, shrink the image or shrink the the box a little bit and cut off some of the text. So put your text in the very center of the image. Expect that it's going to get moved around a tiny little bit when the page renders for folks. Keep an eye on the resolution that's required. Never enlarge an image beyond the resolution that you download it, because it's going to be gross to look at. And make sure that you go and check out Canva. Also, be sure that you join us the same time next week, next Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern for Sprint TV. We do this every week. Our goal is to make it easier for you to live, sell, and thrive online and with the Run Free Project platform. If you have any requests or questions or comments, hit us in the comments below. Throw us a chat in the live chat if you're on the live stream right now, or you can always email us at hello@runfreeproject.com. Remember, all of the URLs for all the stuff I talked about today are down in the description. Feel free to share, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.